Hi guys, what's up? This is Tevfik here. I'm an XR developer and online instructor with more than 10,000 students around the world. In this tutorial series, we will learn VR development with Oculus Quest 2 and Unity by building a Quidditch VR game. That's right, we will explore the wizard world by building VR game mechanics such as summoning your broomstick and flying with it. And this video is the second tutorial on getting started with VR development, mainly for Oculus Quest 2. In the previous video, we set up the Unity project for Oculus Quest 2 build. Then we imported these awesome game assets for our Quidditch VR game. Now in this video, we will implement a full body VR system into our Quidditch VR game. I know that we could just go only with bare hands, but for a better immersion, we need a full body presence. So let's get started. Alright, this is the project from the last video. We have a VR scene called Quidditch VR with a broomstick. If you want, you can watch the previous video and build this project, or I shared the download link for this project in the description so that you can follow along with me. I know many of you want to grab this broomstick and fly away, but first we need a body presence. Because even if I put some hand prefabs into my VR controllers, I just do not feel immersive. Besides, it's a really good feeling that you have a virtual body in a VR game. Take Population 1. The full VR body feature in this game is really great and gives a very realistic experience. Okay, you will see how awesome is that in a minute. Firstly, we need a 3D character model for the VR body. Go to mixama.com, you can find the link in the description too. It's a great service from Adobe and we will get our free character model from here. You need to sign up or sign in if you have an account. As you can see, this wizard character model is selected in my account. And as you guess, we will use this one because Quidditch is a wizard game. To select this one, click on Characters tab here. As you can see, we have a bunch of cool character models. You can choose any of them and use them freely. I will go to the third page. And there we have the wizard. Okay, it looks like it is actually a knight, but it seems like a wizard to me. So make sure to use this character model and click on download. For format, I will select FBX for Unity. And for the pose, T-pose will be fine. And the model will be downloaded. Back to Unity, I will open Models folder. Then I will put the 3D model into here. Now let's put this wizard, yeah I know it's a knight, into the scene. As you see, it does not have any color, fully bright. Well, we need to import these textures. Click on Model, Materials tab here. I will open Textures folder and inside it, create a new one called Wizard Textures. Then select this folder, and now the textures will be imported. You may have these normal map settings pop up, just click on Fix Now. Lastly, click on vrik here and select Humanoid as the animation type and apply. Because it's a human model and the full body VR system that we will use requires humanoid characters. Okay, As you can see, we have a very cool player model for Quidditch VR game, and it makes me feel excited. Let's just unpack this prefab in order to make the changes freely. Okay, now it is time to implement the full body VR system with this player model. For example, we will control the hands of the model via our VR controllers. But we only have the hands and head data from our headset. And when we move the hands, the elbows will behave weirdly. Also, we do not have any legs data, so we need to procedurally calculate and animate those. And this is called inverse kinematics. But it's a very tricky subject and not easy to build from scratch, especially for VR bodies. So we will use an asset from Asset Store, which is FinalIK. The link is in the description. It is an incredible asset, very famous one. And it will save you so much time with your game or application. And the best part is, it offers a VR IK system that works so well that I could not resist buying it. So if you don't have it, I strongly suggest you to buy. Unfortunately, I cannot share it with you since it's a paid asset, but if you don't want to buy it, you can still follow this tutorial series, since most of the VR mechanics in the future videos can and will be done without the full body in VR too, but I cannot promise. So it will just make the game the more immersive. Okay, if you have the FinalIK, click on Open in Unity. So with Unity 2020, the assets from Asset Store are downloaded and imported via Package Manager. So I will just download and import it. Then here we have the FinalIK inside the plugins folder. If you open Demos VR IK, you will see a bunch of reference scenes to learn and set up FinalIK. I strongly advise you to have a look at them. Also, inside the Integrations folder, you will see that we have very useful integration scenes. For example, we have this Oculus integration scene that works with Oculus integration package. So I will just import this integration. Then go to Demos, VRIK again, and open this Oculus folder. So we have this missing prefab error here. And on the console, we have an error, so double click on that. That is because we did not import Oculus integration asset, but we will not do that because we use External Interaction Toolkit for the VR functionality. But don't worry, with the method I am about to show you, you can set up the FinalIK with Oculus integration or Steam VR very easily. So I will just comment this if statement to get rid of the error and save the script. Note that in a minute we will use this avatar scale method for External Interaction Toolkit. Okay, since we no longer have any errors, let me tell you that I am interested only in this mirror. So let's put it inside the prefabs folder. And open the Quidditch VR scene again. I will put the mirror into the scene. In this way, I will be able to better test the VR body system. Okay, implementing VR IK to an emanate character is very easy with Final IK. Just click on character and add VR IK script. As you see, the references are automatically assigned, which is super cool. Now all we need to do is to have head, left arm and right arm targets and manipulate them with vrik. So here, expand spine until left hand transform. Expand the neck until head. And expand the right shoulder until right hand. Then press Ctrl and choose 3 of them and duplicate. I will rename each of them as targets respectively. Now I will put the head target under the main camera because it is the head. And I will put the left hand target under left hand controller. Put right hand target under right hand controller. Next I will assign a head target to the VR IK script. And do the same with left and right hand targets. Lastly, make sure to reset the positions of the targets. Now, if you hit play, you will see that it's kind of working, but not exactly. Especially the hands are not so calibrated. To fix this, we need to adjust the transform of the hands and head targets. But it could take some time for you to do that, so you can use the transform data that I will provide to save time. For the head target, enter the transform data as you see in the video. And for left hand target, these are the transform data that worked for me. Lastly, for the right hand target, enter transform data as you see. Now hit play and great! As you see, we now have a working full body VR and it is just fantastic. Let me better show you how avatar hands and controller hands are synchronized. So in the description, I shared a Unity package that includes Oculus 2 touch controller models. So download that package and import by right-clicking on Assets, Locate and Import it. Then under Meshes, find the controller models for Oculus Quest 2. And put them under hand controllers, respectively. Lastly, I will just disable these line renderer and XR interaction line visual from controllers. Because sometimes it can be disturbing. Okay, let's hit play and test. Awesome, it now feels really immersive. Okay, we are almost done, guys. Now we will add a simple locomotion and VR avatar calibration system, because based on your body measure, the avatar scale should be changed for a better fit. For these features, I put a link in the description that includes some ready-to-use scripts. So go to that link and you will find these scripts. I want you to download them. Back to Unity, create a new folder called scripts. And put the scripts into it. Okay, first of all, let's implement avatar calibration system. Open VR avatar calibrator script. So, this script contains the method that will compare the height of the head target of head bone and calibrate the scale of the avatar according to that. But we will trigger this via a button input from VR controller. So that brings us to this primary button watcher script. It just listens for primary button input from the VR controllers. For more info on XR input, you can check this documentation. As you see, the primary button is X or A buttons for Oculus Quest. Okay, back to Unity, I will attach primary button watcher to the XR rig. Because to listen for primary button, this script should be running in the scene. Then I will attach VR avatar calibrator to the VR body model. For primary button watcher, I will drag and drop XR rig. For IK, I will assign the avatar itself. And this is press toggle is used to display the button state in the Unity Inspector window. Okay, let's hit play and test. Alright, when I press X or A buttons on my controllers, the avatar scale is changed. The change is not so big, but based on your body size, it could differ. Okay, now I will implement a simple VR player controller system and we are done. Firstly, I will create an empty game object called VR player controller. Reset its transform. Then put VR avatar and XR rig under it. And reset their transform. Maybe we can move the VR player controller a bit. Next, I will attach a rigid body and capsule collider to the VR player controller. For rigid body, I will set collision detection as continuous dynamic and freeze rotation for all axes so that we do not fall to the collisions. For capsule collider, I will set the height as 2. And for the radius, I will set 0.3 because 0.5 is just too big. Then set the center of capsule collider as you see. Now add movement controller script. For controllers array, I will enter the size as 1 and put the left hand controller here so that we can move with the left joystick. If you open the script, you will see that we just listen for the joystick data, which is vector 2, and move the player transform according to that. Back to Unity, for the head, I will add main camera. For the speed, let's go for 1.5. Okay, we can move now, but we cannot rotate. For turning around, click on extra rig and add locomotion system. And also add snap turn provider device based. Drag and drop extra rig into locomotion system. And assign the locomotion system into the snap turn provider. For the controllers array, I will enter the size as 1 and put the right controller here so that we can turn around with right controller. Now if you hit play, you will see that we will fall down. That is because the Quidditch Stadium ground does not have colliders. So expand stadium player area and add mesh colliders to the stadium floor game objects. Before we test, open project settings time. And set the fixed time step to 1 divided by 72 to match the frame rate of Oculus Quest 2. You may set it to 1 divided by 90 if your Oculus Quest 2 now supports 90 Hz. Okay, that's it. It is time to test. Since we are done here, I will build and run the Quidditch VR scene to test standalone. So make sure to save the scene, connect your Oculus Quest 2, then click on File, Build and Run. Alright guys, as you can see, we just did it. We now have a fully working VR body system and it is just really cool. So that's the end of the tutorial. Hope you liked it. And let me know in the comments what kind of VR mechanics you want to see as the next tutorial in this Quidditch VR game tutorial series. And if you want to see more tutorials on VR development, be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel. It would mean world to me. I also put my Patreon page in the description if you want to support me more. As always, I will see you in the next tutorial.